The vast assembly hall of the stellar Concord buzzed with the overlapping voices of representatives from 500 cosmic civilizations. Prime Chancellor Elias slammed his 3 fists on the podium, his glowing scales shimmering with irritation. Order! Order in the Concord! His voice boomed, cutting through the noise like a blade. The chatter died down, and all eyes turned to him. "It's the humans again," he muttered, running a clawed hand over his scalp. His gaze shifted to Ambassador Lara, a diplomat with shimmering blue skin and a reputation for calm reasoning. "Lara, you've got the floor. Tell us about their latest moves." Lara rose from her seat, her posture steady despite the tension in the room. "Honored members," she began, her voice carrying a soft, harmonic tone, "the humans are expanding faster than we ever predicted. In the last year alone, they've turned 15 dead planets into thriving colonies. Their technology is advancing at a pace we can't even chart anymore." She paused, letting the weight of her words settle. The hall erupted into murmurs. A delegate from Zephyr, their body a translucent swirl of crystal, leaned forward. "But they're still bound by the Nova Accord, right? They can't cross into our zones." Lara's expression tightened. "Technically, yes. The Accord holds for now. But their scout ships have been spotted near the Seraphim Forbidden Zone. Commander Darian's filed 3 complaints about them poking around our resource fields." Before she could elaborate, General Marcus, a hulking figure covered in battle-worn armor, stood up with a sneer. "Those primitives need a lesson in respect," he growled. "They crawled out of their little dirt ball 3 centuries ago. Who do they think they are, challenging a Concord that's ruled the stars for millennia?" Lara's scales bristled, but she kept her tone even. 3 centuries, General, and they've done what took us thousands of years. Their resilience is something we can't ignore." Marcus snorted. "Resilience? That's just arrogance dressed up as grit. They act like the galaxy's theirs to claim." Lara opened her mouth to reply, but a sharp beep cut her off. The emergency comms system flared to life, projecting a hologram of Commander Darian in the center of the hall. His face was pale, his breathing uneven. "Council," he said, his voice cracking, "there's been an incident. On the research planet Nova Prime, near the edge of the Seraphim Zone, Dr. James Carter sat in the control room of the Stellar Hope, a sleek human vessel tasked with studying quantum fusion cores. His wife, Lisa, adjusted a console beside him while their 8-year-old daughter, Sophie, scribbled notes for her latest science project, a miniature fusion reactor she'd built herself. "Dad, can I show the engineers today?" Sophie asked, her eyes bright with excitement. James smiled. "Sure, kiddo. They'll love it." The Carters had spent months on Nova Prime, collecting data under the terms of the Nova Accord, a treaty meant to keep peace between the Concord and humanity's growing presence. They'd been careful, staying just inside human territory. But that morning, a Concord patrol ship, led by Darian, appeared on their sensors. "Unidentified vessel," Darian's voice crackled through the comms, "you're too close to the Seraphim Zone. Leave now or face consequences." James frowned, checking his coordinates. "This is Dr. James Carter of the Stellar Hope. We're within Accord boundaries, Article 9, authorized research. Check your maps." Darian's response was curt. "Your maps don't matter. Move, or we'll make you." James clenched his jaw. "We're not violating anything. Stand down." Silence hung for a moment. Then Darian snapped an order to his crew. "Fire warning shots." 3 bursts, ahead of their bow. Plasma bolts streaked across space, meant to intimidate. But something went wrong. On the Stellar Hope, Sophie's fusion model sparked as she showed it off in the engine bay. A power surge hit the ship's shields at the worst possible moment, and the second plasma bolt slammed into the hull. The explosion rocked the ship. Lisa screamed, "Sophie's down there?" James bolted for the comms. "Cease fire. My daughter's in the engine room." But it was too late. A secondary blast tore through the section, and the line went dead. Back in the Concord hall, Darian's hologram flickered as he finished his report. The human ship's shields failed. We hit their engines. There was a kid on board. She didn't make it. A heavy silence fell over the assembly. General Marcus shrugged. A shame, but hardly a crisis. Accidents happen. Lara stared at him, her voice low and urgent. Her name was Sophie Carter. 8 years old. You think humans will see this as an accident? A nervous delegate piped up. Surely they'll understand it was unintentional. Lara's laugh was sharp, bitter. Understand? You don't know humans at all. Kill one of their kids, and they'll burn the stars down to make you pay. Before anyone could argue, every COMM device in the hall blared at once. A stark red message flashed on the central display: you killed our daughter. Now you'll see why humanity's feared. It was signed, United Earth Coalition, for all humankind. Lara closed her eyes. The Concord had ruled for 10,000 years, its power unquestioned. But in one reckless moment, they'd ignited a fire they couldn't control. Humanity wasn't just angry, they were awake. And the galaxy was about to learn what that meant. The Stellar Hope hummed quietly in orbit around Nova Prime, its sleek hull reflecting the faint glow of the planet below. Inside, Dr. James Carter leaned over a console, double-checking quantum fusion readings while his wife, Lisa, ran diagnostics nearby. Their 8-year-old daughter, Sophie, bounced between them, clutching a small, handmade model of a fusion reactor. "Mom, Dad, it's ready," she said, her voice bubbling with pride. "Can I show it to the engineers now? They said I could if it worked." Lisa glanced at James, a tired smile tugging at her lips. "Go ahead, sweetie. Just stay with the team, okay?" Sophie nodded and darted off toward the engine bay, her footsteps echoing down the corridor. The Carters had been stationed on Nova Prime for 6 months, studying a rare quantum anomaly under the Nova Accord, a shaky agreement that let humans poke around the galaxy's edges as long as they didn't step on the Stellar Concord's toes. James trusted the treaty. They'd kept their distance from the Seraphim Zone, a restricted stretch of Concord space loaded with rare minerals. Everything was by the book. Until it wasn't. The first sign of trouble came when the ship's sensors pinged. "Incoming vessel," Lisa said, frowning at the screen. "Concord signature. Patrol class." James straightened up. "They're early. Patrols don't hit this sector for another week." Before he could say more, the comms crackled. "Human ship, this is Commander Darian of the Concord Patrol Iron Vigil. You're in restricted space. Withdraw immediately." James checked their position, still a solid 10,000 kilometers from the zone's boundary. "This is Dr. James Carter, Stellar Hope. We're within Accord limits, Article 9. Authorized research. You've got the wrong coordinates." Darian's voice came back hard and fast. "Your position's irrelevant. You're too close. Move now, or we enforce compliance." James clenched his fists. "We're not breaking any rules. Stand down and check the treaty." A long pause followed. Lisa grabbed his arm. "James, don't push him. These guys don't mess around." But James shook his head. "They can't just bully us out of here. We're legal." On the Iron Vigil, Darian scowled at his crew. "Arrogant little pests," he muttered. "Fire warning shots. 3 bursts, ahead of their nose. Let's see if that gets them moving." Back on the Stellar Hope, Sophie stood in the engine bay, her small hands holding up her fusion model. "See? It's got a mini-core, just like Dad's," she said to the engineers, who grinned at her enthusiasm. One of them, a wiry guy named Tom, ruffled her hair. "Kid, you're gonna outsmart us all someday." Outside, 3 plasma bolts ripped through space, streaking toward the ship. The first 2 missed their mark, flashing harmlessly past the bow. But the third was different. At that exact moment, Sophie's model sparked, A tiny surge from her overeager tinkering. The pulse hit the ship's shield grid, and the system flickered. Shields down. Lisa shouted as the third bolt slammed into the engine bay. The ship lurched, alarms blaring. James stumbled to the comms. Ceasefire. You're hitting us. But the line stayed silent. In the engine bay, a secondary explosion erupted, the blast tearing through metal and circuits. Sophie's scream cut off abruptly. Lisa bolted for the door, her voice breaking. Sophie's in there. James, she's in there. He grabbed her, pulling her back as the ship's emergency seals locked the section off. Lisa, wait, force fields are up. We can't get through. On the iron vigil, Darian watched the Stellar Hope drift, smoke pouring from its side. Direct hit, his weapons officer reported. Their shields failed. Looks like engine damage. Darian rubbed his jaw. They should have moved. Send a damage report to the council. Standard protocol. But then the comms crackled again, and Lisa's voice came through, raw and ragged. You killed her. My daughter was in there, you bastards killed her. Darian froze. A kid, he muttered. Nobody said anything about a kid. Back in the Concord assembly hall, Darian's hologram flickered as he relayed the news. We engaged a human ship near the Seraphim zone. They didn't comply. Warning shots hit their engines when their shields dropped. There was a child on board. She's dead. The room went quiet. General Marcus leaned back in his chair, arms crossed. Regrettable, sure, but it's just one human. They'll get over it. We've got bigger problems. A few delegates nodded, but Ambassador Lara shot to her feet, her blue skin paling. Her name was Sophie Carter, she said, her voice trembling with something between fear and fury. 8 years old. You think they'll get over it? You don't know what humans do when you take one of their kids. A junior delegate, scales twitching nervously, spoke up. It was an accident. They'll see that, right? We can explain it. Lara turned on him, her eyes blazing. Explain it? To humans, a child's life isn't a bargaining chip. They don't forgive this. They don't forget. Marcus rolled his eyes. Let them cry about it. They are ants under our boots. But before he could finish, the hall's comms lit up, every screen flashing the same message in blood-red text: You murdered Sophie Carter. Now you'll pay the price humanity demands. It was signed, United Earth Coalition, speaking for every human soul. James and Lisa sat in the Stellar Hope's shattered bridge, staring at the sealed engine bay door. Rescue drones had pulled Sophie's small, lifeless body from the wreckage. Lisa clutched her daughter's broken fusion model, tears streaming down her face. James's hands shook as he sent a transmission to Earth. They killed her, he said, his voice hollow. Sophie's gone. Make them pay. On Nova Prime's surface, the Concord outpost logged the incident as a minor skirmish. Darian filed his report and shrugged it off. One dead human, he said to his crew. They'll complain, then they'll back off. He couldn't have been more wrong. In the assembly hall, Lara watched the red message pulse on the screens, her gut twisting. The stellar Concord had ruled the galaxy for 10 millennia, its power built on control and order. But they'd just crossed a line no human would let slide. Sophie Carter's death wasn't just a tragedy, it was a match dropped into a pool of fuel. And humanity was about to light the galaxy on fire. The stellar Concord assembly hall was still reeling from the news of Sophie Carter's death when the comms flared again. Ambassador Lara stared at the red message: You murdered Sophie Carter. Now you'll pay the price humanity demands, her hands trembling. General Marcus scoffed, slamming a fist on the table. Let them throw their tantrum. They are nothing against us. Before anyone could argue, a new transmission hit every Concord channel. It was an ultimatum from the United Earth Coalition: surrender Commander Darian and everyone involved in Sophie Carter's death. Dismantle all military bases within 100 light-years of human space. Grant unrestricted access to Concord territory. Hand over 15,000 planets as reparations. Admit your crime publicly. You have 12 hours. The hall burst into laughter. Marcus grinned. 15,000 planets? They've lost their damn minds. Prime Chancellor Elias shook his head. They're grieving. It's noise. Ignore it. Lara's voice cut through the chatter, sharp and urgent. You're underestimating them. This isn't a bluff. Marcus waved her off. They've got a few colonies and some shiny toys. We've got millions of systems and a fleet that's crushed bigger threats than this. He turned to Elias. Send the Fifth Fleet to their border. 500 capital ships. Show them who's boss. Elias nodded. Do it. They'll back down when they see what's coming. On Earth, James and Lisa Carter sat in a darkened command center, surrounded by coalition officers. Sophie's broken fusion model rested on the table between them, a silent reminder. Admiral Sarah Kane, a hard-eyed woman with a scar running down her cheek, leaned over a hollow map. Concord's laughing at us, she said. They're deploying their Fifth Fleet. ETA, 18 hours. James's voice was ice. Good. Let them come. Lisa looked up, her eyes red but steady. They think we're weak. Make them regret it. Kane smirked. Oh, we will. Project Sophie's green-lit. All units, move out. 12 hours passed. The Concord ignored the deadline. The Fifth Fleet, a wall of gleaming warships, dropped into human space near Nova Prime, their cannons primed. This is Admiral Torv of the Eternal Might, a voice boomed over open channels. Humans, stand down or be reduced to ash. No response came. Torv smirked. Typical. Cowards. Then every screen on his bridge went black. Across the fleet, quantum comms died. NAV systems scrambled, spitting out garbage data. Ships lurched out of formation, some crashing into each other. What the hell's happening? Torv yelled. His tech officer paled. Sir, we're blind. Something's jamming us impossible. On Earth, Kane watched a live feed of the chaos. Phase 1, signal snap. Done. Hit M with Phase 2. A junior officer tapped a console, and billions of microscopic drones nanites coded under Project Sophie flooded the Fifth Fleet's airspace. They didn't attack people, they ate metal. Hulls dissolved into clouds of dust, weapons crumbled mid-fire, and reactors melted into slag. Crews scrambled for escape pods as their ships fell apart. Torv's flagship held out longest, but even the Eternal Might buckled, its bridge collapsing into a heap of sand. They are centuries behind us. Torv screamed as he ejected. How? Back in the assembly hall, Darian burst in, his face ashen. The Fifth Fleet's gone. Wiped out in minutes. No survivors, no wreckage, just nothing. Marcus shot up. Gone? 500 ships don't just vanish. Darian shoved a data pad at him. Look. Nanites ate them alive. Then this hit. He played a human broadcast. You killed Sophie Carter. This is just the start. The hall went silent. Elias rubbed his scales. A fluke. They got lucky. But Lara shook her head. Luck doesn't do that. They've been planning this. Near Nova Prime, James piloted a small, unmarked ship, Sophie's Echo, flanked by a coalition task force. Lisa sat beside him, her hands tight on a weapons console. Target acquired, she said, locking onto the Iron Vigil, Darian's patrol ship. James nodded. End it. The task force unleashed a new weapon, the Roar Blade, a beam of warped gravity that sliced through shields like they weren't there. The Iron Vigil split in half, its crew venting into space. Lisa stared at the wreckage, her voice flat. That's for Sophie? Over the comms, a child's laugh, Sophie's, recorded from a home video, played on loop, chilling every Concord listener. The Concord scrambled. Marcus roared orders, deploy the 6th Fleet. Hit their colonies. But before the ships could launch, human strike teams materialized inside Concord bases. Ghost drones, ships that phased through defenses, dropped Marines who took out command centers in seconds. On the planet Calyx, a key Concord stronghold, cannons turned to dust before they could fire. A human voice crackled over the ruins, "We tried playing nice. You broke the rules. Our mistake." In the assembly, panic took hold. "Their technicians impossible," a delegate shouted. "We're millennia ahead, how are they doing this?" Lara's voice was grim. "They're not ahead. They've been holding back, waiting for a reason." Elias gripped the podium. "What reason?" Lara pointed at the looping broadcast of Sophie's laugh. "That. You killed one of their kids. Now they're showing us why every species fears them." Earth's war machine didn't stop. Kane rolled out Phase 3, Dust Storm. Nanites spread to Concord worlds, targeting only military sites. Bases dissolved, fleets vanished, but civilian zones stayed untouched. James and Lisa watched from Sophie's Echo as a Concord dreadnought imploded mid-flight. "They thought we'd forgive this," James muttered. Lisa didn't answer, her eyes locked on Sophie's model. Across the galaxy, every human ship, military or civilian, updated its transponder. Sophie Carter, age 8, murdered by the Concord. Marcus stormed into Elias's office, slamming the latest report down. 10 worlds dark in an hour. They are not fighting, they are dismantling us. Elias stared at the numbers. Call their bluff. They can't sustain this. But Darian, shaken, cut in. "Sir, I saw the footage from the rescue op. The parents, James and Lisa, they didn't curse us. They just said, 'You should have killed us all.' That's not a bluff. That's a promise." Lara stood before the assembly's main screen, watching red dots blink out. Concord bases, fleets, outposts, all gone. "We mapped their ships, counted their guns," she said softly. "But we never understood what drives them." A junior aide rushed in. "Earth's broadcasting again. They say it's a courtesy, so we know what's next." The screen shifted to a human voice. "This is Project Sophie. Named for the girl you stole. Everything you see? It's what we built to make sure you'd regret it." The Concord had laughed at humanity's demands. Now they weren't laughing. James gripped the controls of Sophie's Echo, his voice low. "They'll remember her name." Lisa nodded. "They'll wish they'd never heard it." The war wasn't just starting, it was already rewriting the galaxy, one dead child at a time. The stellar Concord's assembly hall felt smaller now, its air thick with tension and the stink of fear. Ambassador Lara stood at the center, staring at the hollow map as red dots Concord strongholds flickered out one by one. "They've hit 20 systems in the last day," she said, her voice steady but strained. "Military bases, shipyards, defense grids all gone. And they are not slowing down." General Marcus paced behind her, his scarred armor clanking with every step. "Impossible," he barked. "They are a speck in the galaxy. We've got reserves, hundreds of fleets. Send the 6th and 7th now." Prime Chancellor Elias rubbed his scales, his 3 hands twitching. "We did. The 6th launched 2 hours ago. They are already dark. No distress calls, no debris, just silence." Marcus stopped cold. "Silence? 500 ships don't vanish without a fight." Lara tapped the map, pulling up grainy footage from a surviving drone. It showed the 6th Fleet dissolving mid-flight, nanites swarming like locusts, turning hulls to dust. A human voice cut through the static. "Sophie Carter's watching. Keep running." Marcus slammed a fist into the wall. "Cute tricks. We'll bury them." But the Concord's counterattack was a disaster. The 7th Fleet raced toward the human colony on Trident Verge, cannons hot. Before they could fire, their systems crashed navs, weapons, shields, everything. Then the roar blade hit, gravity beams slicing ships apart like paper. Escape pods launched, only to drift helplessly as human drones picked them off. Back in the hall, a junior officer burst in, scales pale. Trident's secure they didn't even land. Just wiped our fleet and left. Elias sank into his chair. How many left? The officer swallowed. 30 ships. Out of 500. Lara turned to the assembly, her blue skin dull with exhaustion. We need to talk to them. Negotiate. This isn't a war we can win. Marcus rounded on her, his voice a growl. Negotiate? With these rats? They are nothing 3 centuries of tech against our 10 millennia. I'd rather die than beg. Lara stepped closer, unflinching. You might get that wish, General. They are not fighting for territory. They are tearing us apart because we killed one of their kids. You don't get that, do you? Marcus shoved her back. I get that you're a coward. We fight. The argument split the room. Half the delegates sided with Marcus, demanding total war. The rest rallied behind Lara, pleading for a ceasefire. Elias raised a hand. Enough. We hit them harder, full reserves. They'll crack. But Lara shook her head. You're blind. They are not cracking, they are breaking us. Outside, the war raged on. Human task forces struck with surgical precision, leveling Concord outposts while sparing civilian zones. On the planet Seraph, a weapons factory dissolved into sand, its workers left staring at empty hands. A broadcast looped overhead, for Sophie. You should have known better. Meanwhile, James and Lisa Carter piloted Sophie's Echo through the Seraphin zone, the site of their daughter's death. Their task force trailed behind, a lean pack of ships bristling with weapons. James locked onto a signal the Steel Fang, a Concord frigate commanded by Darien himself. There he is, James said, his voice low and tight. Lisa's fingers hovered over the fire controls. He's mine. The Steel Fang hailed them. Darien's face appeared on screen, his eyes wide. Carter, listen, this was a mistake. I didn't mean to. James cut him off. You fired on my ship. My daughter's dead because of you. Darien's voice cracked. It was protocol. I didn't know she was there, I swear. Please, let me explain. Lisa's hand shook, but her gaze was steel. Explain to her, Ghost. She hit the trigger. The roar blade lanced out, carving the Steel Fang in two. Darien's scream cut off as the ships have spun apart, debris scattering across the zone. James stared at the wreckage, his jaw tight. One down. Lisa didn't look at him, her voice flat. Not enough. The kill sent shockwaves through the Concord. Darien's death hit the assembly like a punch. Marcus roared, they are animals. He was unarmed, begging. Lara snapped back, he killed their kid. What did you expect, flowers? The holomap flared again, another 10 worlds gone dark. Human nanites spread faster now, eating through Concord defenses like acid. On Calyx, a fleet rallied for a last stand, only to watch their ships collapse before firing a shot. A human marine materialized in their command center, gun raised. Sophie says hi, he said, then pulled the trigger. Elias called an emergency session. We're losing everything, he said, his voice hoarse. They are not even taking ground, just destroying us piece by piece. Marcus pounded the table. Then we escalate. Pull the 8th Fleet from the core worlds. Lara grabbed his arm. And leave our heart undefended? They'll walk right in. Marcus shook her off. Better than sitting here waiting to die. The room erupted again, delegates shouting over each other. Lara raised her voice. Stop it. We're tearing ourselves apart while they pick us off. We need a plan, not a brawl. On Sophie's echo, James and Lisa got a ping from Admiral Kane. "Good work on Darien," she said. "Next target, Calyx." Their regional HQ hit it hard. James nodded, but Lisa hesitated. "James, we got him. Why's this still feel wrong?" He gripped the controls. "Because it won't bring her back. But they'll pay anyway." The task force jumped to Calyx, where the Concord's regional command scrambled to mount a defense. They didn't stand a chance. The rower blade ripped through their flagship, and nanites swarmed the rest. A child's laugh Sophie's played over the comms as the base burned. Back in the hall, Marcus watched the feed, his fists clenched. "We underestimated them," he muttered. Lara nodded grimly. "And overestimated ourselves. They've got weapons we can't counter, tech we didn't see coming." Elias stared at the map, now a sea of black where Concord lights once shone. "What are they after?" Lara pointed at the broadcast still looping. "Sophie Carter, age 8, murdered by the Concord." "That," she said. "They are not stopping until we're dust or we beg." The session broke into chaos again. Marcus rallied his loyalists, vowing to fight to the last ship. Lara pleaded with Elias. "Call Earth. Offer terms. We can't win this." Elias hesitated, then shook his head. "Not yet. We've got one more card." Lara slumped, knowing it wouldn't matter. The Concord's arrogance had built an empire over 10,000 years. Now it was crumbling, not under a rival power, but a grieving family in a species that wouldn't forgive. James and Lisa pressed on, their ship cutting deeper into Concord space. For Sophie, Lisa whispered, firing another shot. The galaxy trembled, and the Concord's pride bled out with every blast. The stellar Concord's once mighty empire was unraveling fast. In the assembly hall, Ambassador Lara watched the holomap shrink, red dots blinking out like dying stars. 50 systems gone in 3 days, she said, her voice hollow. They are not just winning, they are rewriting the galaxy. General Marcus stood nearby, his scarred face twisted with rage. They are cowards. Hiding behind tricks, no honor. Prime Chancellor Elias gripped his chair, scales dull with stress. Honor won't save us. They've taken Calyx. Our regional HQ's a graveyard. The human offensive had shifted gears. James and Lisa Carter, aboard Sophie's Echo, led a task force that didn't just destroy, it transformed. On the planet Voran, a Concord shipyard melted under nanite swarms, but the humans didn't stop there. Within hours, the site became a sprawling school, its walls etched with the Sophie Carter Memorial Academy. On Seraph, a weapons depot turned into a hospital, staffed by human medics treating all species. A broadcast looped across Concord channels, "We're not here to wipe you out. We're here to fix what you broke. Remember Sophie." Back on Earth, Admiral Sarah Kane monitored the campaign from a war room, her scar glinting under harsh lights. "Phase 4, remake," she said to her officers. "Hit their military, leave their civilians, then build something better. Show them what they lost." A lieutenant frowned. "Ma'am, some teams are pushing back. They want total destruction, say it's what Sophie deserves." Kane's eyes narrowed. "Tell them to stick to the plan. This isn't revenge, it's a lesson." But not everyone agreed. On Sophie's Echo, James and Lisa sat in the cockpit, staring at Voran's new school on their screen. "They are turning her death into a damn charity," James muttered, his hands tight on the controls. Lisa clutched Sophie's broken fusion model, her voice shaky. "We got Darien. Their fleets are toast. Why are we stopping?" James turned to her, his jaw set. "Because Kane's playing politics. She wants control, not justice." A COMM pinged Kane's voice. "Carter, head to Tyros. Their central command's next. Keep it clean." James cut the line. "Clean? They don't deserve clean." The Tyros assault was brutal. The Concord's central command of fortress orbiting a gas giant bristled with cannons and shields. James didn't wait for orders. "Lisa, lock the rower blade," he said. She nodded, firing a gravity beam that shredded the fortress's defenses. Nanites followed, eating through the structure until it collapsed into a cloud of debris. A human marine team phased in, taking the control hub in minutes. Over the comms, Sophie's laugh played again, eerie and relentless. The Concord survivors surrendered, hands up, faces pale. A marine broadcasted, "For Sophie. You're welcome." In the assembly hall, Marcus slammed the day-top pad down. "Tyros is gone. They are mocking us building schools while we bleed." Lara faced him, her patience gone. "They are not mocking. They are proving a point. You killed a kid, and they are making sure every world remembers." Elias cut in, his voice ragged. "What's their endgame? They are not taking planets, they are gutting us and walking away." Lara pointed at the map. "Control. They are dismantling our power, replacing it with theirs. And we can't stop them." The shift sparked cracks in humanity's ranks. On Earth, a faction of officers met in secret, furious at Kane's restraint. "She's soft," one growled. "The Concord deserves to burn every last one of them." Another nodded. "Sophie's parents get it. Why aren't we finishing this?" Word reached Kane, who called James and Lisa directly. "I hear you're off script," she said, her tone sharp. "Tyros was a mess, too much collateral. Stick to the plan." James snapped back. "The plan? You're letting them live after what they did." Kane's voice hardened. "We're not monsters. We're better than them." Lisa broke in, her voice raw. "Better? They killed my daughter. I don't care about better, I want them gone." Kane sighed. "You're grieving. I get it. But this is bigger than you. Follow orders, or step aside." The line went dead. James slammed the console. "She's wrong. This isn't big enough until they're all ash." Lisa stared at Sophie's model, doubt creeping in. "James, what if we're wrong? What if this isn't what Sophie D want?" He glared at her. "She's dead. They don't get to decide what she'd want." The next strike hit Kalis, a Concord core world. James ignored Kane's clean directive, unleashing the full dust storm nanites that didn't stop at military targets. Factories, ports, even civilian grids dissolved. Panic swept the planet as humans broadcasted, "You took Sophie. Now you'll lose everything." Kane's voice crackled over the comms. "Carter, stand down. You're out of line." James ignored her, pushing Sophie's echo deeper into Concord space. Lisa hesitated, her finger off the trigger. "James, this feels off. We're not fixing anything." In the assembly, Lara watched Kalis fall, her stomach churning. "They are splitting," she said. "Some want peace, others want blood. We've got a shot if we act now." Marcus laughed bitterly. "A shot? They've got weapons we can't touch, nanites, gravity beams, phase tech. We're done." Elias stood, his voice faint. "Not yet. We've got one play left, the core fleet. All in." Lara grabbed his arm. "That's suicide. Call Earth. Beg if you have to." Elias shook her off. "No. We fight." On Sophie's echo, James plotted the next target, the Concord's capital system. "One more push," he said. Lisa looked at him, her eyes wet. "And then what?" "We're not winning, we're losing ourselves." He didn't answer, his gaze fixed on the stars. Humanity's war machine roared on, unstoppable but fracturing. The Concord clung to its last threads, too proud to see the end. Sophie's name echoed across the galaxy, a rallying cry for some, a haunting question for others. The climax wasn't victory, it was chaos, teetering on the edge of something no one could predict. The stellar Concord's collapse was complete. In the assembly hall, Ambassador Lara stood before a shattered council, the hollow map now a black void where their empire once shone. "It's over," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "They've taken everything, our fleets, our bases, our pride." General Marcus slumped in his chair, his armor dented and dull. "We should have hit harder," he muttered, but the fight was gone from him. Prime Chancellor Elias stared at the floor, scales peeling from stress. "What do they want now?" he asked. Lara held up a data pad. "They've sent terms. We'd better listen." Across the galaxy, humanity's war machine slowed. James and Lisa Carter sat in Sophie's Echo, orbiting the Concord's capital world, Nexus Prime. The planet below was a husk, military sites reduced to dust, civilian zones left intact but powerless. Lisa clutched Sophie's broken fusion model, her eyes hollow. "We did it, James. They're done." He nodded, but his face was hard. "Not yet. Kane's holding back. I want their leaders' heads." As COMM-pinged Admiral Sarah Kane's face appeared, stern as ever. "Carter, stand down. We've got their surrender. It's time to wrap this up." The terms hit the Concord like a gut punch. For every day Sophie didn't live 8 years cut short, they'd claim a world, totaling 2,920 planets. For every tear James and Lisa shed logged at 9,137 by Earth's site teams, a military base would be scrapped. For every dream Sophie never had estimated at 80,000 by human analysts, a Concord law would be rewritten. Elias read the list, his voice shaking. "This is insane. They are gutting us." Lara nodded grimly. "It's mercy. They could have taken it all." Marcus snorted. "Mercy? They are parasites." On Nexus Prime, human ships broadcasted, "Sophie Carter's war ends here. Accept, or we finished what we started." The assembly voted unanimous surrender. Elias sent the acceptance, his hands trembling. "We've got no choice." But as the signal went out, Lara got a private line from Kane. "Ambassador, we need to talk," Kane said, her tone oddly cold. "Meet me on Vorin." "Alone?" Lara frowned. "Why?" Kane's eyes narrowed. "You'll see." James and Lisa landed on Vorin, where the Sophie Carter Memorial Academy now stood. Kane waited outside, flanked by guards. "Good work," she said, but her smile didn't reach her eyes. "The Concord's ours. Time to pivot." James crossed his arms. "Pivot? They are still breathing." "That's not enough." Kane stepped closer. "It's more than enough. You two did your part, lit the spark. Now we've got bigger plans." Lisa's grip tightened on Sophie's model. "Plans?" This was for her, not some game. Kane's face hardened. It was never just for her. Sophie's death was convenient. James froze. "What the hell does that mean?" Kane sighed, like she was explaining something simple. "We needed a trigger. The Concord's resources, minerals, tech, worlds were too valuable to leave alone. Sophie gave us the excuse." Lisa's voice cracked. "Excuse? She was our daughter." Kane shrugged. "And she's a hero now. We rigged the Stellar Hope's shields to fail that day. Darian's shots were the push. You two sold the war griefs a hell of a motivator." The words hit like a bomb. James lunged at Kane, but guards grabbed him. "You killed her," he roared. Kane didn't flinch. "We sacrificed one to save billions. The Concord was a rotting empire, we're building something better." Lisa dropped the model, her knees buckling. "You used us. You used her." Kane nodded. "And it worked. Look around, schools, hospitals, a new galaxy. Sophie's legacy." Lara arrived, overhearing the tail end. "You planned this?" she asked, her blue skin paling. Kane turned. "Every step. We've been prepping Project Sophie for decades, waiting for the right moment. You gave it to us. Lara staggered back. You're monsters. Kane smirked. We're winners. The Concord's done, and Earth's on top. Deal with it. James broke free, shoving Kane against the wall. I'll kill you. Guards pulled him off, but Lisa didn't move. She stared at the ground, voice dead. We fought for nothing. Kane dusted herself off. Not nothing. Power. You just didn't know the whole play. She turned to Lara. Tell your people to fall in line. We're not here to negotiate. The guards dragged James and Lisa away, their shouts fading. Days later, the galaxy settled into an uneasy quiet. The Concord dissolved, its world split between human colonies and puppet states. But Earth's victory fractured. Word of Kane's confession leaked. Some called it genius, others treason. Riots broke out on human planets, soldiers refusing orders. James and Lisa vanished, last seen boarding a junk ship headed for the galaxy's edge. A final message hit the nets, signed by them: Sophie didn't die for this. Neither will we. On Voron, Lara stood at the academy, watching kids play human, Concord, mixed. The peace felt hollow. Kane's new order ruled, but it was built on a lie. Nexus Prime survivors whispered of rebellion, and Earth's unity cracked. Sophie's laugh, once a war cry, now haunted the stars, a reminder of betrayal, not justice. The galaxy wasn't saved or destroyed, it was lost, teetering in chaos no one saw coming. And there you have it, folks, the fall of the Stellar Concord, all because they underestimated humanity's wrath, and stumbled into Earth's darkest play. Sophie Carter's death wasn't just a tragedy, it was a chess move that rewrote the galaxy. From James and Lisa's vengeance to Kane's cold-blooded twist, this story's got everything: grit, heartbreak, and a gut-punched ending that leaves you questioning who the real monsters are. What do you think? Was Earth justified, or did they cross a line? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every one, and I'd love to hear your take. If this tale fired up your sci-fi soul, hit that like button and share it with your crew. Don't forget to subscribe to Sci-Fi Space and ring the bell. We've got more epic HFY stories coming your way every day.